Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused, I guess at this point, on covering every element of the massive public train wreck that is Fani Willis and of course her career and her pathetic little case. I released a Fani Willis update 2 days ago where we spoke about the state's key witness, the guy that was supposedly gonna totally exonerate Fani Willis. Supposedly he was coming to the rescue, but even as the leftist media was able to admit, pretty much the exact opposite happened.
When you told me that their relationship started when she left the DA's office and was a judge in South Fulton, where did you obtain that knowledge from?
I was speculating. I didn't have a, no one told me I was speculating.
Multiple times during his testimony, he claimed he wasn't sure he was, quote, just speculating, or he didn't know. The guy who was supposed to save Fani Willis, a man by the name of Terrence Bradley, well, let's just say he might have done the exact opposite, crashing Fani Willis's chances of turning this whole thing around. Guess what, people? We have Terrence Bradley's text messages, and they reveal some very damning information. Let's just leave it at that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So this new evidence or this new information dropped last night, and as I'm recording this video, the trial is still ongoing. The Trump team attorney is already presenting the evidence in the court.
And on January the 5th, 2024, at approximately 9:49 a.m., there's text messages that are exchanged between Ms. Merchant and Mr. Bradley. And the text messages go like, just date, and that's from Ms. Merchant. Ms. Merchant says, do you think it started before she hired him? Bradley, who we now know from Defense Exhibit 39, has been texting with Ms. Merchant for a number of months. This is not the first time. This is months within the communications between the two. Mr. Bradley says, absolutely. Now, absolutely is not a speculative word. That's not speculation. That's a definitive statement.
We've got damning text messages between Ashley Merchant and Terrence Bradley. Phil Holloway writes on Twitter, breaking, text used in court between Ashley Merchant and Terrence Bradley says Fani Willis and Nathan Wade began their affair before she took office. Her sworn testimony was that it began in 2022. Here's the conversation. I believe the green is Ashley Merchant and the gray is Terrence. Ashley writes, like, just date, don't hire him. Do you think it started before she hired him? Terrence writes, absolutely. Not he thinks so, not maybe, not probably, absolutely, which means 100%. It started when she left the DA's office and was a judge in South Fulton. They met at the municipal court CLE conference. That's what I figured when he was married. Is this accurate? Upon information and belief, Willis and Wade met while both were serving as magistrate judges and began a romantic relationship at that time. No municipal court. Thank you. I'm actually finding even more text messages on the Megyn Kelly show. I think Megyn Kelly was the first person to break this story. Terrence Bradley then continues, but you can't put where they met. Not many people know that. He follows up by saying, I might be one of the only, not even Chris Campbell. So there you have it. We have confirmation from a close confidant, from somebody who knew, quote, absolutely, and was one of the only people who was aware that the initial speculation was correct, that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade started their relationship at that CLE conference back in, I believe, 2019, when Nathan Wade was married, before Fani Willis even ran for office, before she said all of this stuff.
And I certainly will not be choosing people to date that work under me. Let me just say that.
I am going to be able to attract the best and the brightest minds to that office. You're sitting with someone today that actually wants to make a difference because they deserve a DA that won't have sex with his employees, because they deserve a DA that won't put money in their own pocket.
Before she essentially presented that as, I guess, her election platform, that she would root out the corruption within the Fulton County DA's office, and then of course she did exactly what she claimed she was running against. What an absolute farce. I mean, this whole thing has to be done and dusted at this point, right? The evidence all points in one direction. Fani Willis was having an affair with a married man back in 2019. Then once she assumed the role as DA in Fulton County, she was picked by the White House to take this high-profile case And then, of course, she and Nathan Wade both visited the White House. She hired an unqualified man, an injury attorney, to be a special prosecutor so she could funnel over $650,000 of taxpayer money to him, her boyfriend, and then they traveled around taking expensive, lavish trips with the taxpayer dollars being funneled into the anti-Trump witch hunt. Oh, and on top of all of it, they both lied multiple times under oath. Now I guess we'll have to see exactly what happens. I'm recording this video as they're making closing arguments. Judge McAfee, overseeing the case, also just confirmed that he'd be willing to make a decision, even despite the fact that Fani Willis is attempting to delay the process by introducing new evidence.
Over an hour and a half for argument to be divided amongst themselves as they've already agreed. And so to effectuate that, I'll have the time queued up, and we'll start the clock running, and y'all can see fit to divide that as you would like. And obviously I've allowed the same amount of time for the state as well. Before we get into that, I believe there may have been a few things just to clean up as part of the record, specifically since we last convened. Counsel on behalf of Mr. Roman had submitted a Defense Exhibit 39, and if there are any objections that wanted to be placed on the record on behalf of the state, we can do that now. But at a minimum, I think the intention was that I would be admitting that collectively as an exhibit, if nothing else, just for appellate purposes for the record. Mr. Abadi, anything the state wants to add as it relates to Exhibit 39?
No objection from the state.
I have a copy for the court reporter. I printed a copy out and then I sent it.
All right. If you've got that marked and stamped, we'll provide that to the court reporter. All right. And then, as I'd indicated as well on Tuesday, both parties since the close of the evidence on the 16th had followed up. Now I think both sides have made requests to reopen the evidence. On behalf of the defense, there were some issues with cell phone records, and the state has found an additional witness that they would like to present. And the instruction I provided on Tuesday was that for today, I think we've reached the point where I'd like to hear more of how some of the legal arguments apply to what has already been presented. And it may already be possible for me to make a decision without those needing to be material to that decision. So that's why we're here today. I wanted to make sure we held this time because it is a bit of a logistical challenge to get everyone in a room together. But recognizing that, again, in the interest of efficiency, if both parties want to reserve part of their time to argue as if those proffered exhibits have been admitted, feel free to make whatever arguments you would like. And if, in fact, it turns out that I do need those to be part of the record to make a decision, then we'd have to come back and we will do those in accordance with the rules of evidence.
Essentially, Fani Willis's worst nightmare. So we'll have to see exactly what happens. I guess you'll be able to tell based on how the video is titled. If he ends up removing her from the case or even dismissing the whole case outright, well, you're probably going to know it. But I'm pretty sure we're headed towards that direction. I'm pretty confident in making that the tone of this video, so it doesn't really change much. I guess we'll have to see. Fani Willis effed around and is clearly finding out. That's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.